Hi, it's Phil Mills, Subaru World Rally Team, and welcome to my office. Okay, so this is my side of the car, and we have many pieces of equipment here. First of all, this is the intercom. This is the piece of equipment where we communicate between the driver on the stage through the helmets and with the telephone through the team on the road sections, and we get SMS messages through the system also. Everything comes through this box here. Then here we have a tool roll, which we don't use so often, but there are some tools in there if we need to do some small repairs. Here we have a torque wrench for fixing the wheel nuts, make sure that they're exactly the right tightness on the wheel nuts. And here we have a fire extinguisher. Also under the seat is another fire extinguisher. There's two fire extinguishers. One is operated from outside the car by the spectators, and one is operated from inside the car by myself. And then forward of that, we have a wheel nut gun for taking the wheel nuts off in a hurry if we have to change the wheel mid-stage or at the end of the stage in a rush. So that is an electric or battery-operated wheel nut gun. Then forward of that is the footplate where my feet rest. And on that we have three switches. We have a horn, a hooter for alerting the spectators or animals on the stage. To the right of that we have a windscreen washer and a wiper. So if we hit some water very suddenly without realizing it, I can operate the windscreen wipers and the driver doesn't have to think about that. And then to the right of that there's another button which resets my trip meter, my distance counter, which you can see forward and right on top of the footrest, which sits there, which is exactly on my eye line. And that meter there forms many functions. One of the most important functions is distances. It records distances in meters between each junction, each obstacle, and so on. It's also a stopwatch. It also calculates average time for calculating your average speed so you don't incur penalties and so on. It also calculates the fuel, so we get the fuel load exactly right. Litres per kilometres on the road and litres per kilometres on the stages. It calculates that. It also a system for SMS message system from the team while we're on the stage, and all the messages from the team management comes to myself on that screen there, and I can relay them to the driver. And it also gives a function of everything that's basic on the car, like turbo speed, water temperature, oil temperature, and that sort of thing. So any sort of early warnings of anything that's maybe going wrong, that comes through that screen first. So a lot of information packed into that screen. We also have another few bits of equipment. Here we have a bag which is fastened to the door, and inside we have things like tire pressure gauges, wire cutters for cutting wire, a torch which is very handy for seeing underneath the car, and some gloves which I use for changing the wheels because they're so hot. And that sits on the door like that. Also inside we have a box here which we call the map box, which stores the pace notes on the road sections, and then a road book and all my paperwork information sits inside this box, and then it's securely fastened there during the stage with a little flap on the top. We also have a fresh air vent both sides, which is fresh air coming from the outside of the car because it gets so hot inside the car. You have to have some air, so that's our main source of fresh air when we're on the stage in the car and all the overalls are fastened and so on. It gets very hot. We also have a telephone, which is a normal cell phone, which is where all the messages come from through that system. That's on the side here. And also an array of switches, which is everything from the fuse cutouts to the wipers to the engine, to the computer, to the fire extinguisher. Everything is on that side there. So should we have an electrical failure, the co-driver can hit the spare fuse very quickly and get everything working again very quickly.